Hello and welcome to the Audio Animals podcast, episode 2. We're going to go visit our good friend Phinestro over in New York. We're going to do this podcast via Zoom. So, Phinestro, he is a music composer and producer. We worked with him on the amazing Spider-Man 2 movie, and it's an interesting podcast. I think you'll enjoy this one.
I'll introduce myself. My name is Phineas Robert. I go by Phinestro. That's my pseudo name. I got the name from my brother because he put my name and Maestro together because I'm the only one in the family who could play multiple instruments. So I guess I got that name from that. And I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a Haitian American composer, mixing engineer, musician, producer. Now I reside in Lynchburg, Virginia, Central Virginia, which is about an hour away from Roanoke, Virginia. Is a very historic black town, college town to be exactly. So I'm privileged to come back here. I guess my music story started when I was very young, and actually I didn't tell you this, but both my brothers are singers. So the equipment that they had, my brother actually had like it's not a DX7. It looks like a DX7 Yamaha, but it was a smaller Porter version of that. So my brother had two. One I played with that had broken keys, and the other one he played with at church. And I used to mess with a lot of sounds. And he also had a karaoke machine. And my brother used to tape a lot of like gospel and jazz and stuff. And he taught me at the age of 6 how to cassette record from the radio station to your input. So I have a microphone, and then the input had the Porter synthesizer, and I'd record that in, and I'd try to play along. And then he had an electric guitar. So not knowing when I was 7 or 6, 7, 8, I was learning how to multi-track record without knowing that was a thing. So keep that in mind as a young, young kid. So my upbringing was pretty interesting. My family, very religious based, faithful. We grew up in a Baptist church, so it was music everywhere. Like literally everything was music. Waking up in the morning was music. Going brushing your teeth was a song. So that's kind of from my roots, yeah. And I guess nothing really much happened until junior high school. Actually, my first instrument was the saxophone. I started playing saxophone, and I was cultivating into the jazz and marching band music. But I had a peculiar love relationship with the guitar for some reason, and I went in with that. Growing up listening to George Benson, listening to Earl Klugh, Jimi Hendrix, Prince, anybody who touched the guitar, I loved and fell in love with that, and I just took it from there. And my professional career, I guess, started when I was 14, 15. My brother got me a session playing guitar for this. I'm trying to look for this guy. His name is Butch Stewart, and he's a gospel producer. And he paid me like $150 for like 45 minutes of just doing chops all day. And that was my first time getting in one sitting. I got that much money. I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I was pretty good. I was like imitating George Benson and stuff. So it was really like, oh gosh, I'm making more money than my mother making a day, like so it opened my eyes. And I went away for college here in Virginia. And then while I was doing that, I was playing in gospel circuits. And in between that, I was also doing a lot of kind of like production work, a little bit for like marketing teams, because before my music career, I actually was doing a lot more in the marketing space, and that I'll tell you more later on how I got to be a composer from there. But yeah, so really started playing in the church, and I came back home from Virginia, college, and I played for a big church, Brooklyn Tabernacle, huge Grammy award winning church. I played for a little bit over 8 years for the youth choir and stuff. But while I was in the scene, 2008, 9, of course, the recession was happening. And that was a very interesting time because instead of doing a lot of music, I've been doing modeling, music marketing, and also just going around in studios. And at that time, I was shooting a lot of marketing materials for artists that later I've played for. Um, and that opened a lot of doors for me to be a session musician. And also, when I'm not playing those gigs, I turned around and did videos and content. And me being in the session, like I met amazing audio recording engineers like Steve Dickey, who worked for P. Diddy and Bad Boys. And I'd ask him questions because he did. I was my first time going into a big studio and seeing the SSL 2000, and he's doing a hybrid setup where he's using Pro Tools and he's summing. And I'm asking him literally. I even have a lot of questions that he answered back then, and I was kind of taking notes because at that time I wasn't really in production. I was just a guy who came in with the guitar, recorded, and left. And at the time it was just so much happening because everyone is producing R&B, gospel, and I kind of felt like everyone's doing that, and then of course hip hop. And I kind of felt like, you know what, I want to do something completely different. So I went ahead, I got GarageBand and I started doing EDM remixes, and then that's how I kind of got my footing in, doing house music and these, those kind of like, what was it, an album music back then. I used to have remix competitions, and I'd submit to them, and I'd win a lot of them, and it helped me got to publishing deals, which opened a lot of the doors. While you know, even in New York, they used to have beat battles where producers will battle with their beats, and that opened a lot of doors for me through iStandard and things just started happening.
I remember we
Prior to
worked on
meeting
that
you,
one with you.
say that again.
What was that one we worked on with you, which was the beat
Oh
battle?
yeah, so that beat battle, interestingly, that was uh they usually have one in South by Southwest. They happen to move that one to Canada, is northeast by northeast in Toronto. So it was USA versus Toronto. So like a lot of like knowing now what I didn't know then, a lot of like Drake's ghost producers were on that team. So it was kind of like it was really a lot of heavy hitters. It
And
was
you
cool
won.
that yeah, we won. Like we sent you the track. It was cool. It was just like it made a lot more sense that we sent it. And it's interesting that actually happened after the whole Spider-Man placement stuff, which was phenomenal. It was like a momentum thing. But yeah, I guess, starting as a musician turned composer, remixer in the scene, an EDM scene at that time. Um I guess it's not in chronological order, but the bug of me doing a lot of these remixes came from the idea that, doing these marketing videos, a lot of the clients ask, "Oh, I need some upbeat music," so I put something together. And prior to that, I didn't really do a lot of production for artists. It was just for these clients, and they'll pay me more just to do that. And it was at one point that I was doing remixes and I refined my sound, and it just so happened that my first placement that I had was with an artist that I produced from Germany. She came to New York, and then we worked, and it it clicked as far as everything what I was doing. And then my friend Jose, he co-wrote the song. It was just amazing. So we submitted that song. At the time, I won a publishing deal with some company in the Atlanta called Claiborne, something like that. So they actually had the account with a Kardashian show, and I just so happened to find out the song that
I remember
that
this,
we
yeah.
released, it got placed. And then on top of that, a week later, I just found out one of the songs I had, prior to that, Jeremy Scott, who did the Adidas Wings, they took my song too. So it was crazy, like my first time ever doing like real music for TV, and that still pays me today.
Brilliant.
And that opened a lot of doors for me to like see, okay, I don't have to be a musician. I could still do what I do and send tracks to publishing libraries and sync licensing. And that just opened a lot more doors. And then yeah, that's how it started prior to the major placement and everything.
So talking of major placements, like I know myself that our kind of big break into the film industry was when we worked together, and we worked together
Yeah.
on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that was our first big one. That was our
That was
first
my
kind
first
of,
one too.
yeah. So it was
Trust
kind of
me.
like, that was back in 2012. About
Yeah,
2012, wasn't it?
2012.
Well,
Right.
10 years ago now.
Yeah, this same time around that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember you got that job through the church, didn't you?
No, actually, it's I know it's so mixed up because so here's what happened. My best friend Louis Severa, he's the one who wrote and directed that. We went to high school together, so the reason that it looked like it did because he actually did some work with me in my old band. It was a band I used to be signed with, Broken Chains band. They're like a Christian rock band. Happened to be like, we went on number one and MTV and stuff. So it was a really good coming. So we did a lot of stuff in there. So, but my friend, it's interesting because he actually came here just last week to do to kind of talk about it. It was so awesome. I'll probably send you content with that, so if you want to mix it, it's so cool because since high school we made a pact, like, hey, like when we get older, we're gonna work together, and it's so crazy. Like that was the first job that
Oh,
we did.
really?
Yeah. So how he got it was he said that he was in a meeting that he wasn't supposed to be in. He was just passing around
It was
and he
meant
was
to be.
eavesdropping. Yeah, he was eavesdropping, and Jane, who's the best friend of Andrew Garfield, the lady, she has an orphanage in Haiti, and I'm Haitian, so that kind of helped make me understand like what they were aligned with. And my friend was like, maybe he had the ideas like maybe we should partner your organization with Andrew Garfield and Spider-Man because Spider-Man was an orphan, well technically an orphan, so
Right.
they
Okay.
did
Yeah.
that to raise awareness. Yeah, so at that time, Hans Zimmer is obviously the composer of that. So he was at first, what I was told, he was the first person to be like, okay, just do it. Now, what I didn't know, my friend, he advocated for me, say, hey, you should have him. He's Haitian, and this is something that aligns with him and stuff. So, I mean,
So
now
Hans
this is
was
my first
Hans was
time.
meant to do it.
Yes, he was on the bill. I mean, he's a retained. He's the composer of the damn
Yeah. Yeah.
series. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
There's,
So
do you know, there's three people that are credited in that movie for audio, and that's us, you, and Hans Zimmer.
oh my gosh, you serious?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Wow,
I
I
don't
did
think there
not know
was
that.
anyone.
'Cause
I don't think there was anyone else when looking through credits. There was no one else audio related.
wow,
Yeah.
that just shows the greatness that we had and the perfect alignment. When I say this was like, I not say a miracle, but it was just perfect alignment. I met the lady, Jane. I met Andrew Garfield. I met the whole crew, and it was just astonishing because here this one of my favorite comic book heroes, they are doing something in representation from my country, Haiti, and it just so happened that I'm a composer, and they was like, hey, just give me a shot. And now I had, again, I'm saying this on the record, I had no prior of orchestral scoring experience. I
It
didn't go
came
to
out
school for
great.
this.
I remember it being
Man,
great.
let me tell you, like I didn't sleep for 2 days straight. I was asking my friends, hey, can I borrow your contact libraries? Because I asked my friend Kevin, he's like, yo, can you string runs? You got that? Boom, 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 boom. Like I was buying stuff. I was like, let me put it together. I was watching a lot of videos because when Sony, it was Sony Pictures, they sent me the like a link, say, here's what we kind of wanted it to sound like. They sent me Superman. I'm like, oh gosh, come on, man. Give me a break. Give me a break. so the so I was like, dang. And they don't like, obviously they know that I had no experience before because the only thing they saw was be battle, be battle, be battle, whatever. Is he a composer? So I was like, okay, I'm literally praying. I'm like, God, like, you gotta show up for me. So I literally, the things I love about Hans Zimmer, his stuff is digestible, even though it's fancy. He is a simple composer using easy counterpoints, melodies, and moods. So every 8 bars, there's something's happening. So I was like, okay, cool. So I use pretty much Superman's theme song. I use that template. Okay, he started with a pad, like a drone. I was like, okay, cool. I can start with that. Boom. Then there were some things that he does with the horns and stuff. So I was like, instead of doing that, I'm gonna start with a piano. I just literally learned how to compose off of that. And then the whole thing, how they matched it, it was like, okay, after a certain moment, reverse cymbal, string runs, you know, and then he doesn't have children choir, so let me put children choir in there. I literally was using Omnisphere as well, so it's like, so it was cool. I sent them. There was like send a couple of examples. I sent them three. I was like, hey, out of these three, choose one. And then they chose the first one, and they picked the first one as their final. And at that time, I think prior to that, did we work on something prior to that?
I think we worked with Bridget. I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
Bridget Barkin. Yeah, amazing. She's phenomenal. Her dad is Mark Barkin. So it's like it's cool how we even met, and you mix and match a lot of her stuff. And I was like, man, it sounds so amazing. Because during that time, interestingly, before even working with her, I didn't want to mention competitors here. I wanted to name drop, but there was another online marketing mastering company, and this is before Splice does it, before Lendor. It was you, it was, I think, Monarch or something like that. Like you guys, but for some reason, I felt like I like you guys better because you have a little bit more personality.
We had that conversation. We were, the one thing we did have, and we still have, is the communication with everybody.
Yeah.
It's like we're not just people who are, or a business or a company that are detached from the community. We're very much a part of it. That's why I do all the videos. I do all these sorts of things, and I talk to people.
See, if you're an audio engineer or artist hearing this, what separates you between everyone else is not your skills or your placements. It's you showing your face and you showing your process. I think that's what separated us before anybody else, because anybody could have gotten this scoring gig. And what's crazy, and I don't think I told you this, they didn't buy out the rights of my song. That's actually a copyright that they licensed and put it in there. Even though I didn't get paid for it, it opened so many doors, just like you did, So, I mean,
because I'll tell you, off the back of that, I mean, I showed you when I tagged you on Instagram the list of all the different films that we'd worked on. That was subsequently after after the Spider-Man one was a knock-on effect. I mean, we did Spider-Man. The week after we announced that we worked on Spider-Man, we got X-Men straight away.
Oh my gosh.
1 week after.
It may have probably been the same company, because those people, I know the people that we worked with were from the South Bronx, but Sony Pictures in Manhattan, I'm sure they had other people in LA. So this is why you guys stand out, and I love what you guys do, because during that time, they were rolling out other stuff. And this is, now let's keep it real. Black Panther probably saved the Marvel account, but prior to that, they were trying to pump out more stuff. So you came right on the time where it was like, okay, these are the people that we can't make no mistakes. So it's like boom, 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 boom. So it's great that prior to this time, you guys kind of came to the time where it's like the revival of Marvel's thing, which is amazing. That's awesome, man. So I'm glad that worked out, because you guys was pushing on it. Facebook, you was doing like ads. I was like, this is so amazing. This is great. This is awesome.
So as well, you showed me a picture of your studio space you were building a little while ago.
Yeah.
And what's the situation with that? That looked amazing.
Thank you. So it's a collaborative space. So Ad Logo is a local agency that works with Batwin, which is a company that does like construction and home improvement and stuff like that. So they have a art like an ad agency which works with local people who want to rent spaces for offices. And this was kind of like a dream of, okay, we need a space here downtown Lynchburg that people can come do their work. If they want to do a podcast in the back, or if they want to do production here, or if they want to do live events, they could do that. So they built out a space that kind of was intuitive to what we were doing. And me working with a marketing agency since I moved here called Blackwater Branding, I'm kind of director of sound. So everything that they do with the city and marketing, I kind of help hands-on with, like with the events or all the technical stuff with this. So it was cool that I'm able to be in the office, and of course during the pandemic, and I got kind of gear friendly, and then got this too.
Likewise.
So yeah, I mean it's amazing, like what like 10 years could do. Like
Yeah. Did you see the
it's
pictures that I posted up? That whole progress of from way back 20 odd years ago. I for some reason I found all these different pictures, and it was just amazing to watch this progress from
yeah.
way back when, and how the studio built, and like my setup changed over the period of time, into what it is now.
Yeah.
Just for me, it will be interesting in another 20 years time. I mean, like,
I hope you guys franchise your brand. I want you guys to be in America so badly. Let me tell you why. Because
come on, sell it to
what
me.
you got well, let me tell you something. Because you already have partners here. You have partners here. You can, if you wanted to, uh even if it's not like a mastering suite, it could be a production suite, and then you have a mastering, whatever. You can leverage what you've already done in the last 10 years and get funding for that, especially if you work within, I don't know, like you work in a school or like a college, whatever, and then, or like specifically, or news area, like a news broadcast station or something like that. The whole time after COVID, people are seeking to go in places that's not in their basement they could go to. So being part of a already established hub with the services you already provide that you could still delegate and stuff, it is amazing because the kind of model what you have is kind of like it's not the same here because especially if the pricing is like, oh, why is it this affordable? Whatever. But what's crazy, you did such great volume and quality that you can now negotiate. Okay, if you want to do a retainer, is this much, and then you don't have to worry about the X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? So you have a great business model, and it showed from not just the skills of your mastering and mixing, but it showed on how you market. It literally you started a franchise about that. You know what I'm saying?
So I remember when you came to us with the whole Spider-Man job. You came to us, and I remember you saying that there's no real budget in this. And I kind of sat there, and I remember sitting there with Nick, and I go, we'd worked together a lot of times before, and it was kind of one of them ones where we go, right, is he for real? Is this gonna material? Is it gonna materialize?
I didn't get paid for it. I kid you not.
And we kind of sat there and was like, oh, do we take this on with a punt and just kind of go with it, and hopefully it will materialize and it will be everything that he's talking about. And we, thankfully, we said, yeah, let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, the worst that can happen, we waste a load of time.
What's the worst that can happen?
We mix this film, and it comes to nothing, and we've learned something along the way. Thankfully, it did materialize, and it went on to multitude of different films, which was brilliant. So yeah,
it made you guys look different because this is, oh, you guys are working with Americans. Let's see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Because this was relatively before everybody kind of took big businesses online. I mean, 10 years ago, you did have some that dabbled in the whole online, but we are predominantly only an online service.
Yeah,
we are the kind of we wanted to kind of go in there as we are the online mixing, the mastering service, and it really worked well for us.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that you said yes. You and Nick said yes because up to that time you had like about 6 months to a year relationship at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But there was,
yeah.
it wasn't like we were just working together. It was the only communication we had was just working together. We were talking on Facebook a lot and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
online,
It's building a
and
relationship.
yeah.
See?
So there was that trust already there. That all right, okay, if he says what he says, and if it comes true, it comes true. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it was probably one of the best business decisions we made, because there are decisions that you make as a business that you say, okay, we'll do this at a budget. We'll go in low for this to win the work, which will ultimately get more work. And this is
Yes.
a prime example of that.
I think we should talk more about that because I tell people, and this is kind of like part of my collaborative course I'm eventually release. It's like understanding the concept of alignment and reciprocity. You can work with people. There's different things that in projects have. You either get paid for it and it takes and covers your expenses, or you take an opportunity that will cover you and align you to even more work. So I've shared this too. Like not all work that is paid is worth the time. There's some work that I got paid really well, but you lost sleep. I got sick. Some relationships need to be mended. And there's some situations like this was a godsend where I didn't get paid for this placement, but my goodness, like I'm still getting paid from the placement. Meaning like those people, yeah, those people who were on the set, they were students. Now they're working for Nike. This person worked this. Da, 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 da. They remember me, and I'm getting these placements because I was there. I made them look good. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this sound great." So they remember me, and it was crazy. Like this is like okay, 2012. I moved out of New York 2016. Even at that point, it was like okay, there was this whole hysteria. Okay, you leave New York, you're gonna list gigs. It complete opposite happened when I moved to Virginia. I made even more money in music than I did living, and I was a full time church musician in New York. Like I was getting paid well. In living here, I got paid even more because all those people at that time were transitioning from moving from New York to LA to Atlanta, and then they're holding their positions as producers. And then guess who's calling me? Them. So literally, like, if someone's watching this, you're an artist, collaborate with people that you trust, that even if it's an opportunity that's not paid up front, guarantee that if they are working in their best interests for themselves, they're also looking out for you. That's gonna catapult to other things. This is kind of like a big gem for a lot of people to understand. Not all money.
Yeah, well, as well is like, for instance, that we technically, we done you a favor. We kind of got on board with you doing that project, and that there's a knock-on effect on your end as well, where you then go, all right, these guys, they done me a favor there, I'll recommend them. So the money comes
Oh
in.
yeah.
The money comes, we get paid for that job, um in multiple ways,
Yeah.
because although we didn't necessarily get it right there and then, there's the recommendations. I mean, there's a lot of people don't like to, let's say, get paid in exposure,
Exposure, right.
but
There's a
this
difference
was a
between
prime
exposure and
example.
alignment.
Yeah, this is a prime example of getting paid in exposure, working really to your real kind of, it was really good the way that it worked for us.
Yeah, I'm glad it did because I was almost worried. I was like, man, I really hope that they take it. And then the fact that almost like several days later or so, you had the DVD, you got to sign, and it's like a staple,
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was like, oh snap,
Do
okay,
you
they
know?
got it.
Do you know one thing? The one thing I will say is that when we got that, and that was like we'd done that movie, and we could say yes, we've done that now. What I found with a lot of artists who were like, let's say, EDM artists, they looked at that and went, if they're doing Spider-Man, they can do my EDM track. You know what I mean? And it
Exactly.
was like, and it just
Exactly.
kind of catapulted from there. Um, with movie
Yeah.
after movie after movie, where we had, I think now we've probably done, God, probably a good 100 different movies.
Probably even more, not included underscore
Yeah.
background and
Well,
like
that's the thing is I'm just saying 100 Hollywood A-list movies, and there's thousands of independents and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I feel like people look at that and they can kind of go, wow, if they're trusted with that, they can be trusted with my stuff.
yeah.
I had a prime example of that was someone said to me a little while ago. They said to me that, oh, how can I trust that sending my music to you, that it won't go anywhere else? I was like, because we're professionals. It's like we don't, that's not what we do. You can
Yeah.
trust that your music comes to us. We work on it. We send it back to you. No other ears listen to it. And I said to him, look, just have a look at the credits and what the type of things that we are trusted with.
Right.
Believe me, you can trust us with your song. And he went off, had a look at the credits, and was like, "Oh yeah, I feel a bit silly now asking that." 'Cause, when you look at the
I was
type
going to
of film,
say, you, people need that. I mean, this just proves to you, okay, the first step into like succeeding in your career is like you collaborate. You may not have money, but you have the skill or you have the network. Because prior to that, I was just a guy playing guitar in a church, and then I did the EDM thing, and then while I was doing that and the beat battle thing, I was like, okay, let me see what's going on. I'm doing the whole scoring thing, and then that scoring thing moved me from being in the music business to the film industry. That's two different industries. Like, so I don't have to deal with the crazy stories and stuff like that that a lot of people have to deal with.
one thing with moving from the kind of music industry into the film industry is not so much for you, but for me. We work a lot with artists in LA for film, obviously, for
Oh,
obvious reasons.
yeah.
So we work, all the time with artists. The one thing is the 8 hours time difference.
Oh, that's a good advantage. A great
Yeah, we're
advantage.
we're in front. So when they say it's good for us in that sense because we are 8 hours in front, so we get an 8 hour head start.
Yeah.
Whereas you'd only get 4 hours head start, so we
Right.
get we
Yeah.
get 8 hours. But just that whole time difference of working overseas does play some part in, like sometimes, like just organising this. I mean, you're talking. I think you're 11 in the morning, 3 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Having to organise that, but now take another 4 hours off. We're kind of in the evening is their afternoons kind of thing. So
Right.
there is some difficulty working overseas in terms of time zones.
But it's great for you though. Like in a way, you can almost rest because once we send it, we have a deadline. You're already done before we even realize it because it's like they're
You
expecting
wake
that.
up
Okay,
to it.
it's gonna come. Yeah.
You wake up and it's on your
That's a great
table.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is very beneficial for us that we are in front rather than behind. If we was 8 hours behind, you'd be sending the project off. And let's face it, you work in the film industry. They want it then and there, yesterday. When do you need it? Yesterday. All right, okay.
Our yesterday is yours. Our yesterday is yours tomorrow. So we already get it by the time in the morning. Like, oh wow, they're quick, they're amazing. It's like, wait, we're only 8 hours ahead because they're not maybe aware of time. They're like, oh, I forgot they're from the UK, so they're probably ahead. That's a great advantage.
It
That's
is. It is
awesome.
actually a good advantage. Yeah,
Wow.
it is handy to have, especially in the film industry. The music industry is
Mhm.
very different. There's not so much deadlines that are really strict. There is at the moment because everybody. I've got a song I'm doing literally behind me is Christmas songs. So many Christmas songs at the
Mm.
moment, and
Ooh.
obviously every single one needs to be done. I need it back before Christmas. It's like, okay, I actually do want to take a little bit of time off for Christmas, so I've got to get it done before
Oh man.
having to take time off. And Yeah, but the film industry is so much more strict. It's like literally they send it in, and it's yeah. Can we have it back in 24 hours? Can we have it back today? Right, okay. It's not, you know, the song that you've sent isn't just like a quick job. You know, there's 20 songs here with each one has 10 different variations of it. Because you got the 30-second version, a 45, an underscore.
Right,
There's
right,
all
right.
sorts. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
but it's a brilliant industry.
Yeah, I thought about that because you're solving people's problems. Have you considered? Because I'm actually starting doing it myself. I'm actually gonna start not a label, but I have all these artists that instead of making songs and putting on Spotify, I'm like, yo, let's just make license the music and use those for sample packs for producers to make and make hits with and collect the, back end from that. And I've realized there's not a market, if not mistaken, because I'm doing a lot of stuff with Dolby Atmos and Unreal, there's not a lot of sound designed packs out there that are melodic in Dolby Atmos. There's only one company that I know that I work with. A guy, he actually sold his company to Splice. They're Soul Surplus. They're out of Philadelphia. He's mentoring me. He was like, "Yeah, like this is a market that people are wanting." So they kind of doubled down more into the licensing subscription service where they give YouTubers or whatever a subscription license that they buy, and they'll get X amount of whatever that they can use, and they can still retain their rights, whereas giving them away and hearing all the hits in the radio and not getting credit for it. So there's a change because of that, and of course AI is trying to compete with that, but really trying to collaborate and catch up to the need of the kind of music that they want. You know.
This seems like a perfect way to go into the crypto project
Yeah.
that you worked on. I mean, that was something different. Like
Yeah.
first time I'd worked in anything to do with crypto.
Really?
Yeah, like not like that was directly involved with like crypto. I know. Before that, I was working on a lot of artwork. So artwork that had audio that went with it, and then that was sold as an NFT. I couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't get my head around how it could be monetized and how this could work. And it was really, really interesting. But I still can't get my head around it. I still can't get my head around how so much money can be made
Yeah.
from this kind of just like crypto NFT.
Listen,
and it's mad.
There's the only thing to worry about in that is the fact that once you sell something or put it in a marketplace, and when someone has it as a collectible, it's verified everywhere. And if they sell it, it's a passive income stream that you could perpetuity get whatever the amount that you put on your smart contract. It's kind of like a split sheet. If they purchased it, maybe 20 or 30% of that sale will always go to you if they switch it. And it's a great way to integrate some people using this Web3 technology to do tracking of customers, royalty, like point system, narrowing down people, like a award system, and it's a great way to do that with in a collectible space of seeing something that they can have an ownership with, and the perks of that. So it's great that while we was working on this, like this collaboration that we did, me and Nigeria, we met like yeah last year, and she's an amazing. She does a lot of VR work. Nigeria does a lot of like 3D and stuff, like the Oculus glasses. Which interesting. She does a lot of like fantasy, moving images, and instead of people doing it on an iPad on a mouse, she's literally doing it in the air, like so she's doing that, and I was like, why don't we put some music to it? So literally from the gear that I have, and then mixed with atmosphere and stuff like that, I was like, okay, my actually I'm gonna get a new Mac because of this. Like I need to get Atmos, so I had to upgrade my my Mac just to get Logic to have Atmos, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure this out. And then it was around the time he was doing it because he was upgrading. So you know what? that pretty much from the sales of the previous project, I was able to pay you guys from that. So it's literally like that, like the from the passive sales of the other projects, I was able to reinvest into this one. So it's nothing for me to understand. People love art. People love digital items. I mean, people love sneakers. Women love bags and shoes. It's basically a digital version of that. And if they keep it, they have the perks of having new releases or a new Lamborghini or whatever. And only people with that will have it. So it creates community exclusivity and utility with a cult following with your artwork. So while saying with your sound or services, let's say if it was a subscription service, X amount per month, with that, the token of having a audio animal, whatever, will get you this and, access to whatever, and people, even if it's just access to like a live stream of just you mixing or something, it's like people need that because you can't find that in school. You have to pay X amount of thousands of dollars. Wait, you guys did all the work that we listen and video games we play, so might as well just learn from the source. So it's a way people can scale by creating that economy. And even if you don't use crypto, I'm noticing now because of new laws and taxes, people are using the technology, but they could still use USD or franc or whatever currency. So you could still use the technology and use a platform that they can use Apple Pay now. So you don't have to use crypto as much now because it's gotten, from 6 months ago, it's gotten a lot more adaptive where people can still buy your product.
My thing with the
in
whole
Apple Pay.
cryptocurrency is like, because we had an opportunity to implement it into to be able to take cryptocurrency and accept that for
Oh,
services. And the more I looked at it, it was like, okay, today we could, if someone bought something, paid for services with crypto today, really good. Tomorrow, it was just like this. It's like, uh,
yeah. There's an art to investing from that. So basically, getting into that field, you learn to invest. Like because of cryptocurrency, I have to say, NFTs not it just not only fund my instruments and all these things, but it allowed me to get out of debt. Now, a lot of people don't know, I'm married, I have 2 kids. Prior to cryptocurrency, I lived in another home. It was a nice home. But because of that, within the whole search engine, I've learned how to leverage my taxes. I learned how to save and invest. I follow Dave Ramsey, but one thing I didn't like about the Dave Ramsey method is if you don't capitalize on investment, you're wasting money, saving money. So I took the time to learn early on leisure and all these big um, influencers who taught crypto and taxes. And I was like, you know what? If I could learn how to take this asset and in real life pay for X, Y, and Z, I'll be fine. So after having these conversations with other people, and I've gotten NFTs. I invested in other NFT projects. Like one artist, her name is Metaphor. She made an amazing pixel art, and with her came with her music. And what's cool about that is not a lot of people have that. I could, if I wanted to, I could resell it, or I could collaborate with her, make other things derivative of that, and make a series that we could split it. But one thing I know for sure is like if I have this in my wallet collecting dust, it's not moving. What am I doing? So learning to invest, putting it in a stable coin so it doesn't affect your money. And then I sold some NFTs that I've gotten because I was like, you know what? Like I got 2 kids and a wife. I got to pay bills. And I was able to, and I'm very thankful, learned how to financially be literate. I learned how to, I'm comfortable to say I had over $100,000 worth of college debt. And because of cryptocurrency and the algorithms, I guess I learned how to write letters to my creditors, and they're all paid off from understanding the tax law and everything. And now I'm down to 30, so it's like, it's great. So my wife is debt free from any college obligation because of she was a teacher and stuff. So it really shifted not just my music, it shifted my financial credit and everything. So crypto is great, but it's not great if you're not learning how to apply it to your real life, you know? So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
good.
something I learned.
I one thing that it blew me away one day. I had a piece of equipment, music equipment that I had, and I sold it kind of personally, and this guy came round to buy it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let me just transfer something out my crypto wallet into my
Hmm.
bank," and he
It
just
took
went.
seconds.
It was instant, and he went right, and it was like into my account. I was like, I didn't know you could do that with crypto. It's like
Yeah, you can.
it was
This is
actually
another
it was
reason.
turned instantly just into physical proper money. And you always
Yeah,
think the thing with crypto is you always think of it as this kind of currency that doesn't exist. It just
it
kind of floats
exists.
about. But he made it
Yeah.
properly exist. For that was the first time
So
I'd seen it like that.
so you know it's interesting. And you know, I don't know if you chop this as a reel or a gem, but I'm gonna say as much as you can for anybody who's curious about it. The use of crypto kind of, in a way, it derails the need for a bank because banks, what they do, they institutionalize your currency. So I have a USD. If I wanted to send you 250 USD dollars to your bank, how much money you're gonna get in pounds? You're gonna get like 100 pounds. Why? Because the bank took the money, because the transfer took the money, because of transaction fees. Cryptocurrency, all we do is pay a gas fee. My fee, I remember, was I was in Germany to see my cousin. Douche bank. I hate douche bank. They're douche bank. So they yo, I took out $200, right? Douche bank charged me $30. My bank charged me $25. If cryptocurrency exact if crypto existed back then, if I asked for $200, it's only taking $5 or $8 or $1, depending on the gas. And it's instant because it's money that's made available on an exchange to the wallet, stablecoin, into my um a bank account. So that's why it's liquid in that sense. And for those, if you have, I have friends and I have collaborators who are Russian. At that time, was one artist. Her name is Veronica Ray, amazing singer. She's now lives in Poland. She left Russia before the craziness happened, and how I was able to pay for her for the services that she gave me for the top line and recording was through cryptocurrency. I can't pay her in PayPal because PayPal was closed. You know, I can't pay her in Apple Pay, because, she couldn't VPN. So I was like, how am I going to pay her? I was like, oh, okay. She got here. So she did some songs for me. I paid her through crypto and she got it. Had I not been able to have that and help her get onto the exchange, she wouldn't have gotten paid to take the train to escape or whatever, or get feminine products or whatever that you need to survive. So crypto, in a way, save people's lives if you know how to use it properly. So as a business, I don't really, I guess the school of thought I'm in, I don't see it as a way to scale and make money. I see it as a way to create a community and like know your customers. And from there, you could take that as a service and like, it's almost like CRM. Like somebody buys something for you, you get their email, you get their wallet, you get their whatever, but then you actually interact with them. And actually, you could take that from that ecosystem and apply it to the real world ecosystem. It's no different. You just got to learn how to integrate it and use it to your advantage. Some people stay in the whole thing of, whoa, I'm losing money. It was like, wait, why didn't you put your money in a stable coin so you don't lose money? So it's the whole education and understanding. You take what you know, but then apply it to the real world because, making over a little bit, I'd say roughly 13,000 in like 6 months off of crypto. And then the year later, well, the next fiscal year made it close to 10,000, and that's almost a third of what I make in IT. So using that, and of course, you got to pay bills and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you need to use the system that is available to your advantage. And of course, as a business, you got to know what capital gains and stuff like that. But other than that, like the technology's there is for you to use to kind of like streamline your customers directly. So there's no middleman, and you could create a system without the need of other things. Because if the internet is down, or we only have our phones, how are you going to interact with your customers or whatever? So you can still get paid. It's not. But that's the rabbit hole, I guess.
Right. Well, I think that's a great place to end it.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, it's a
And
pleasure.
what was nice was reminiscing about Spider-Man, because that was 10 years ago. That was a crazy time.
It changed the game, and it's still changing the game for me, because I have to remind myself almost, because sometimes I don't really, I say, celebrate. Some things you do in the past, but you don't realize the work that you do helped people provide for other, people. Like, if you hadn't done that, if you think about it, the whole chain of events after that movie, now you had to think about pre Marvel. I'd say pre Thanos. The whole end game. You have to have a box office hit to provide workers, jobs so they can feed their families, and the studios and the production and the cost and the marketing and stuff like that to do other movies. So if you think about it, 10 years ago, we were the ones there. I did not know that it was just all me, you, and Hans Zimmer. I didn't even know that. I thought it was like other people, but that's amazing. So that was a catapult of like really opening other doors for other movies to be funded, because you can't have a movie like this and then stop. How many other Spider-Man movies were after that?
Yeah, there was loads. Yeah.
So what did that tell you? That means they got money. They had made money from that. That like, and you made money from that. Like, you're in the studio that was built from that franchise. I'm in the studio, so that means at the end of the day, anybody's watching this, just because you're not getting paid for opportunity, do your research and trust the process, because at the end of the day, some money comes with a cost, but certain things that's higher than a cost is definitely alignment. Collaborate with people that has been there and has a vision, because I had a vision, but I just didn't have the budget, So when you have that, that's going to take you to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
Brilliant.
Yeah.